All right, so this is one of the first exam examples I wanted to kind of walk through. So long answer application style. So you'll notice right off the bat here, there's no graph, similar to ones that we've done kind of before. This guy here, though, is a little bit more challenging, and there's a couple of ways to approach it. And so I just wanted to talk about like how we can reason our way through something like this. You'll notice right away that we're missing an A value. Now, the fact that they have not included an H inside the brackets here and they've not included a K, that means that we can start this at the origin, 0, 0. So we don't need to necessarily find a specific vertex because they've essentially said we don't need to. We just really need to find what the step height is, knowing that the step length is 20. So there's some reasoning that can be applied here. There's also like another skill set that we've yet to use yet. And I think I'm going to start with that because I just find it a little bit easier to sort of approach. We look through this here and we see that we don't have A. It's a loyalty rewards program. That's typically the way this kind of works, right? It's either like a rental program or some sort of when you reach amount of daily sales kind of thing, or in this case, loyalty reward program. It's all like, everything's going up in steps. Once I reach this, I can now do that. So if we go through this right now, all I have is the B value, right? I normally run through A, B, H, K. And we've assigned that these two are 0, and I know that this is 1 over 20. So in effect, I also know that my length is 20 for the step. It's just kind of good for us to know. But the A is unknown. Now, you'll remember with any parabola problem, any quadratic function, if we had a point and we had HK, we could kind of figure out what the rule is. We could find A. The same thing applies here. In February, Richard made a purchase of 275 and he earned 26 points. So let's just actually take a look at the most important part of a question like this. What is X defined as? What is Y defined as? Why that's important is I can now say that because X is value of the purchase in dollars, so that meaning the 275 is the X, and the number of points is Y, I now know that at a purchase of 275, the point return would be 26. So if we start step 1, let's find the rule. The rule. Okay. We know right off the bat 1 over 20x. Okay. The 275 and 26 are paired together. We haven't had that kind of situation before. So what we can do is plug in 26 on this side. A is unknown. 1 over 20 is the B value. And the X is going to be 275. So we're trying to solve for A. I don't like my brackets there. And I really want to isolate it for it. So let's tackle inside the brackets first. So we're going to go 1/20th of 275 and give ourselves something like, so 26 is equal to A and then 1375. Now the brackets are still there and we have a decimal. So we've got brackets, a singular number with a decimal there. So let's round it down and execute the greatest integer function bars. So 26 will be equal to A. Now all of a sudden I can use regular brackets because I executed them, utilized them, and rounded it down. So now we're just solving for A. Divide by 13, divide by 13. A is equal to 2. So now I know that my step height is 2. I now also know that my rule is 2, 1 over 20, x. and I can use that now for anything else I want because I have the rule. Once I've used like an XY coordinates, I'm not going to use it again. It's done. Cross them out. We've utilized it for its purpose. Now let's go down and see the next point here. In March, he made a purchase of 131. So underneath that, I'm going to write down X. Okay. Really and truly, on questions like this, if you see values and you have a rule, without even reading the context, you know you have an X, you know you have the rule. I don't even need to read the rest of it right now. I can legit just go ahead and know that I'm solved for Y. Because I have an X value and I have a rule. So let's actually just do that. Let's not overcomplicate things. The decoding is where some people will get themselves into trouble. But if you kind of go through procedurally now and see once I get a rule and then I have a value, either X or Y, well, then now I can find its partner. So Y will be equal to 2 1/20th. That didn't change. A and B didn't change. But the X is now 131. I'm just going to solve for that. So 131 times like 1/20th. And that's going to give me something like Y is equal to 2, 6, 55. I will execute those bars and round down and know that my Y value here is 12. Perfect. So that means 12 points. He got 12 points for his purchase of $131. So now that I've done that, again, it's been done. Moving on. The store decided to modify its reward program as follows. So earn 3 points for every $15 spent. So let's start to think about the application of that to this scenario. And this is some of the logic and reasoning component of it now. Now, in previous videos, we've talked about how like B, H, and length all have a relationship with each other. A and K kind of have a relationship with one another. And really and truly, let's just think about what is A, what is the nature of A, and that is basically the step height. Now, they've told me that number of points earned is a Y value. So for every 3 points, so that's A, for every $15 spent. Let's look at the original scenario. If you can decode this and understand what each parameter means, that was 2 points for every $20 spent, right? The length was 20, not 1/20th. That's the B value. That's what went into the rule. The actual step length was 20. So in terms of that like logic and reasoning stuff, knowing that the previous guy was 2 and 20, and then now they're suggesting 3 for 15, this 15 is length, meaning our B would be 1 over 15 in that case. Now, that change came into effect starting in April. Now, in May, so we now have an additional rule. Let's just write it out here underneath. 115. We're going to start at the same H and K because that's not going to change. So for every $15, it goes up by 3. In May, however, Richard made a purchase under the new program and earned the same number of points that he earned in March. So this was what we just found for, what he earned in March. So he got 12 points, okay, for that purchase there of $131. So then now what we've got to do is go in dollars, what are the possible values of the purchase Richard made in May? So we're not concerned with the 131 anymore because it's a different structure, rewards and such. So what we can do is identify that the points were the same. So they're suggesting now for the third step, let's solve for the possible purchases or the total purchase price that Richard made to now get 12 points. So what does that window kind of look like? So 3 115 x 115th x. Now we're looking for an x. So like typical, right? We're just going to divide first and try and get our brackets isolated. And then now we can split things off. Or in fact, I'm going to do it down this way. Just know that there's two sections now. So I always take, and again, let's just reevaluate why I'm doing this. I have brackets and then internally a b value and an x, could have an h in there as well, but there's nothing exterior. There's no a anymore. There's no k attached. There wasn't to begin with, but there isn't now. And then I have a whole integer on this side, so no decimal. Meaning now I can split and I will write 1/15 x is greater than and equal to 4 on this side. And I will write 1/15 x is less than 4 plus 1 on this side here. So calculating this guy on this side is not that bad. Divide 1/15 on both sides. X is greater than and equal to 60. I guess we're just multiplying by 15. And then I'll just break this down a little further. 1x 5 divide by 1/15 divide by 1/15. Essentially, it's just 5 times 15. So we can now say x is less than, in this case, 75. So what is the possible amount of money that he could have spent to be in that bracket? And then let's actually just write it out, because let's see what it specifically said. In dollars, so not dollars and cents, in dollars, what are the possible values of the purchases Richard made in May? So if we're looking at like what are the values returned for x for this step function, like if we're being like nitty gritty with regards to the function itself, we would say, 60, including all the way to 75, not including. So what is the actual answer in dollars? It's actually just 60 to 74, right? Because it can't be 75 because it's not including the 75. So that's the only like tricky part of this here, where this is what may lead you to not get 100% on a question like this, is not understanding the brackets, what you solve for, and then how to apply that to a scenario. Anyway, I hope that helps. Feel free to ask any questions.